It costs an average of about $106,000 per year to incarcerate an inmate in prison in California. Yes, I was in law enforcement in the prison systems in California. So, let's keep on reading. About 3/4 of these costs, 3/4 of it is for security and inmate health care. Since 2010 through 11, the annual costs have increased by about $57,000, or about 117%. Okay, yes, I was in law enforcement. I was a correctional officer in California. And I know the lifestyle that they put these inmates in is ultimate poverty. Just think about it. Okay, they're forced to have, where I worked, we had actual dormitories that had 100 inmates in it. And so I want to describe the dormitory, okay? So you had 50 bunk beds in there, double bunks, that were always filled, okay? You didn't have empty bunks in your dormitory for days, okay? Maybe a day, maybe 2 days, but that bunk was filled right away. So you had always had like at least 99 to 100 inmates in your dormitory. So you have one big old room with the 50 bunks in it. You have an open shower room with maybe about 12 showers in it. Like one room with the shower spigots coming out of the wall where everybody has to shower in front of everybody in a prison, okay? Then you have the bathroom, again, open. Just toilet sitting there. You got to do your business in front of everybody. And so there's nothing luxurious about the life of an inmate, okay? So, yeah, the entertainment sucked. There's a TV room with you know how they have the benches with no backs on it? It's just like planks. Well, that's what they have to sit on in the TV room, yeah. And then they have a game room with some little games in it and stuff. The yards, you know, with the weights and such that last forever. They maintain the yards. They do all of the yard work for like about 15 cents an hour when I was there. I don't know how much they get paid now. And so it's like the food is very, it has protein in the vegetables. It's like a balanced diet, but it's not appetizing unless you have some cooks that take pride, you know, like the cook supervisors that took pride in what they cooked for the inmates and wanted to cook them really tasteful, you know, something that they would enjoy cook. And then you had some that just wanted to get the work done, you know, and then the inmates, they could put a little bit into it, but they had like sausages, Polish sausages, like about 3 times a week. You know, and the chicken patties, stuff like that. Yeah, they had stuff like that going on. And then they always would bake cakes and stuff for them. So they had they had a meal. They had a good dinner, you know. But it wouldn't be something that I would choose to eat on the outside. If I was living off $106,000 a year, I would think I would be getting gourmet meals, you know. The best of the best on $106,000. Shoot, they should just open up restaurants in there and have them with a little debit card with a food budget where they could pick what they want. Everybody would win. Yeah, have that inmate industry. Yeah, where they can make money, you know, and circulate from the inside and learn skills and stuff. But they don't do that kind of stuff. But anyway. And then when they didn't want to eat, when the choices that they had, came from, what did they call it? I believe it was a commissary. I forgot what they called it when they went to go buy stuff. But like noodles at that time, like what we paid in the store, it cost them like maybe 2 or 3 times that. Yeah. Stuff like that, sardines and oysters and stuff that they would be very creative, and their food would be smelling really good, but they had to really pay for like 3 times as much. Yeah, and nowhere in the world should a family member be asked to send them boxes with like their extra personal things that they're allowed to have on $106,000 budget. They should just have a debit card, with the cost of how much clothes cost, and be able to order, their kind of jeans or whatever, and have a shirt if they want a fresh shirt. Everybody still be in uniform, but no. Everything goes to the laundry. They get so many pair of jeans, so many t-shirts, so many shirts, so many jackets, so many shoes. And it's not that much. Remember, everything fits in a locker, okay? When you first get there, they had like these little, they call them Jap slaps or something, some little cheap, like Dollar Tree shoes that they would give them, So yeah, I'm just wondering if the average household, let's look at the middle class average household's income for a white person, okay? Because we know that on their income, they live in the nicer places. Everything is just hunky-dory. So let's look at that. Okay, white people, y'all gonna get kind of upset about this. Okay, so your standard of living. So the median income in 2020 was at $74,912 for white, non-Hispanic families. The median household income of the United States can be accessed here. Okay, so that is the average income of a white person. And just think about your standard of living. Costs way less than one of those inmates that's sharing a room with 99 other people. Where is the money going? Okay, so let's talk about the other officers, because they do have other staff officers, and then you have the ranks going on there, So I say they outnumbered us by at least, I don't know, about maybe 89-1, because you did have a few extra officers on board or throughout the, like you had the search and escorts, you had the sergeants, lieutenants, and the captains, and all of that. But you're in that room by yourself with 100 men. I was, yeah, for a long time. Yes. And so now it takes $106,000 annually per inmate. So you multiply that time 100 inmates, and one dorm made 10.6 mil. Yes. And then they started the prison industry. So it's such a big money maker. It's so profitable to lock somebody up, not spend much money on them, just give them the basic necessities. It's been so easy for them to do that. And nobody ever questions, why does it cost $106,000 to house one inmate in these conditions? So if you don't want to spend that money, if you're going to have them living in poverty, why is it costing more to support one inmate than an entire average middle class white family? That's like maybe 2.5 people. So you take that 74,000 and divide it into 2.5. And then that equals less than $30,000 per person in a white family. That's how much it costs for your standard of living. So now let's take the $106,000 that it costs to house an inmate and subtract how much it costs per person in a white middle class family. Yep, it's like $76,000 difference to live a lifestyle of an average middle class white person that costs almost $30,000 per person. To live at that standard is costing $76,000 to pack inmates in like sardines, have them living and eating, and it's just like an impoverished lifestyle, and they cannot justify it because I told you they's talking about for security. That's bull crap. So now, the math just doesn't add up. It just does not add up. It just does not add up. So let's go to the food. Yeah, now this is kind of horrible, okay? This is some horrible stuff. I see some similar meals though right here. But they're forced to eat this stuff unless they have family members that send them money for the ramens, and then they make their own, gourmet meals out of. They're very creative. Yes. But other than that, this is what you get. Yeah, on reusable platters. So that's another cost that is minimized. Yeah. So even though they might be able to justify a portion of the 76,000, let's look at the first statement that it says about it. So the security part of it, that's kind of like blown out of the water. They say that about 3/4 of it is for security and inmate health. So now let me explain what I experienced when I was there. First of all, we did take inmates to the hospital on emergency. On emergency, we would ambulance them to the hospital, and you had an officer sitting with them. So that was kind of expensive, but it wasn't that many. So out of 100 inmates in one dorm making $10 million, you might have, annually, I don't know, not that many when I was there going to the hospital. They went to the infirmary. If they were stable, if their vitals were stable, they stayed in the infirmary. Yeah. When they got out of the hospital, they went to the infirmary. And in California, they even had a hospital, an inmate hospital that they would send them to. Yeah. And so, Then they had they had a nurse there handing out pills, a LPN. Yeah, that's the status. I forgot what MTAs, that's what they called them, but they were LPNs, and they would get everybody's medication prepared. And then they would pill call, and then all of the inmates would go to medical that had medications or insulin, and then the nurse would give them their medication, and the officer would make sure they swallowed it. Yeah. If they had treatments, they came at a certain time, and then I'll say the ones that we call CNAs. Yeah. They would be inmates, and they probably made a little bit more than the porters and such. They probably might have made $1 an hour. I don't know, but it was real cheap. And so I just can't see where the annual cost is going to inmate health and care. Okay, so it's still not adding up. So I took what is the highest paid for doctors in California, and it was $150,000. Okay, so $150,000, that's the highest. Okay, now in the prison system, you have 120,000 inmates, but you have fewer than 400 medical doctors. So you have to take that 120,000 inmates and divide it by the amount of medical doctors, which is 400, and that means that the doctors are responsible for at least 300 people. 300 people. Yeah. So you divide that 150,000 by 300 people that are not sick all the time that he's not treating, and it still does not add up. It just doesn't add up. Okay, so we figured out that the doctor was responsible for 300 people on an average. So I took his salary, which is, the highest salary for a doctor in California is $150,000. And I divided that by the 300 inmates he's responsible for. So out of the inmate's budget is $500, per inmate to cover the doctor's salary. So it's not adding up. It's not adding up at all. Yeah. So, it takes $106,000 to maintain an inmate. So I'll say 1.25 inmate in that dorm of 100 carried his salary just by itself. It's a money machine. So those quote unquote taxpayers paying for this is not asking any questions, and it makes you wonder why. It's like such a big expense, and for non-violent offenders, is a great part of the population. And what could they do with that $106,000? Because they said that they can only account for 3/4 of it. Well, they can't even account for half of it. I just showed you, and even with all the little extra frills, they wouldn't be at 50% of what they're making off of each slave that they catch and put in this system and make money off of. Yeah, and found out how to do it in the private sector too. It just doesn't add up. It just don't. And so it's like those quote unquote average taxpayers, it's like, keep them locked up. I don't care how much it costs. Just keep them locked up. And that's where their blindness is coming in. Yeah. So the Most High is releasing so many people. My kudos to the Innocence Project. You are certainly servants of the Most High. Yes, and you will be rewarded. You will be rewarded for proving the innocence. What we're not even supposed to do is like you're supposed to be proven guilty, not proven innocent, but they get us in these traps. They get people in the traps where they can't get out. It's like, gotcha, you got a felony, and they'll pin something on you to fill those bunks up in those prisons, making off of each bunk bed, 2 of them, $212,000 a year. So there will be a new history written because we're now in another reset. The age of Aquarius is coming in. Judgment is upon this earth. The scales are being balanced. And we see that it's all being exposed. It's all being exposed. All praises to the Most High. Yeah, so I have a prophecy concerning that. And my prophecy is because we're in the age of Aquarius, those innocents that were locked up and those that have maintained their vibrations and frequencies and living as righteously as they can in the prison system, I have a prophecy. Because of these star alignments, and we're in the age of Aquarius and the scales are being balanced, you are going to have something that's so magical that's going to happen. You're going to wonder, how did it happen? And that is going to be your release. Your release. Very soon, you're going to be released. Yeah. The Most High is going to rescue out of that matrix within this matrix. And you will be very wealthy. Yes. All praises. The Most High is flipping things right now. So where you were in really a bondage, in captivity. We're all in captivity here on Turtle Island, but you're in a matrix within a matrix. And so you're like in a double bondage. The Most High is going to rescue you out of that. He's going to destroy this system. And when you leave, that $106,000, you're going to be living at that standard. All praises to the Most High. Okay, I know I didn't do a complete breakdown of how much it costs, but just looking at what they said as far as security and medical, it just doesn't jive, you know. And so the Most High is going to expose that. Okay, you guys, Shalom. All praises to the Almighty, sublime creator of all things, and the master of the day of judgment. And we are in the day of judgment. So just look for miracles. The Hebrew Rose of Jericho. Out.